Each month, Annie and I host a deeper dive, which is a live Q&A with an expert in the field of lactation, business, or personal development. We hope you enjoy.
Well, hey there, Leah.
Hey, Annie. I'm really excited about today's conversation.
I know, really couldn't come at a better time because, end of the year and thinking about should we raise our prices for the new year, or looking at back at what our income was for the year and thinking
Yeah,
like, did I
definitely need to do
am I like
something.
really pricing myself too low? And then also being terrified that if we price ourselves too high, everybody's gonna run screaming for the hills and never
Uh-huh.
work with us. It's awful,
Yeah.
right? It's so
Yes.
stressful.
Yeah. That's why I'm so
Well,
glad we have an expert to talk to us about it.
we do. And our guest today, Maggie Patterson, is a marketing and really like ethical business expert. She is the editorial director at Scoop Studios and the creator of BS Free Business. With 2 decades of experience, Maggie has spent her entire career in client services and has been a successful entrepreneur for over 15 years. Today, she works with service business and agency owners to build BS-free businesses that put trust first in everything they do. A podcaster and writer, Maggie is a vocal advocate for humane business practices rooted in respect, empathy, and trust. She's the host of the BS-free Service Business podcast and the co-host of Duped, the dark side of online business. And if you all were at our deeper dive into messaging earlier this year with Dr. Michelle Mazer, Maggie and Dr. Michelle are co-hosts of the Dupe podcast, which is how I first discovered them. And I'm totally obsessed with Dupe because I love a good drag of somebody who's just out there. People who are being terrible. I'm here for it. So, Maggie, welcome to our deeper dive.
I'm super excited to dive into pricing because, Annie, you have already had a sneak peek of how I feel about pricing.
Well, we're
Well,
glad you're
let's
here to talk about it because this is like a hard thing for our profession, I think, and probably a lot of service professions. But we're working with vulnerable people, and we don't ever want to feel like we're taking advantage of the urgency of their needs or kind of where they're at, and they pay any price if their nipples didn't feel like they were falling off. Well, we don't want to take advantage of that, right? But we do. Like, we work hard, and this is hard work. And it feels bad if we don't feel like we're getting paid. It doesn't feel like, I think it, as we all know, contributes to burnout if we don't feel like we're getting paid well. So we'd really like to start out by just kind of understanding your approach and your mindset around, you know, service-based pricing and kind of jump us off with your thoughts about it in general.
So one of the things that I think is really common with service business owners, whether they be lactation consultants or someone who's doing, even business coaching or something else, is most people want to be doing a service because they're coming from a place of wanting to help their audience. They're wanting to really like work with clients one-on-one, really support them, really help them thrive in whatever it is your area of expertise is. So what tends to happen is we have this guilt complex about charging for services. We think, should I really charge that? Should I do this? And we tend to undervalue what we do. And the dynamics of that, I'm sure many of you can attest, are even more complicated when you are dealing with, a new mom who's trying to figure this out, who's, probably struggling with this in some way, shape, or form. And it's really important to be able to approach your pricing from a place of, I can be of service. I can be in a role where I am helping, but that doesn't mean I have to sacrifice myself and undercharge. And there's a way to price your services where it is really and truly a sweet spot between it is a fair exchange between you as the provider and your client. And that's what we're always striving for. And a lot of times what happens is because of things, our money stories, how we think about money, how we came to our chosen profession, we have a lot of things and hangups, and we start to assume our clients are thinking certain things, feeling certain things. There's been so many times I've encouraged my clients to raise their prices, and they're so nervous. And then, what happens is clients are like, oh, you know what? I wish you had done that sooner, because their clients value their contributions and their impact so, so much. But what happens is we get in our heads and then we're like, well, you know what? Oh, well, should I really do this? And here's the thing. This is just the facts. When you are in a situation where you work with clients, your time is limited. So you run into one of two things: is you either start taking on way too many clients, and like you said, Leah, like you end up on the precipice of burnout because you're trying to help everyone in order to make a living, or you just your revenue, your income stagnates. And everyone here has been to the grocery store lately, right? Like everything is more expensive. And unfortunately, our prices need to be able to keep pace with that, because we all need to be able to earn a living from our business and not be over serving our client, having far too many clients. Because if you can only, manage a load of 8 to 10 clients and you suddenly have 15, you're not serving anyone well and you're not serving yourself well. So that's kind of my approach to it: is we have to find that balance in between of, what's in service of the client, but also what's in service of you.
Yeah, that's like right off the bat, one place that where it's hard for us is like, okay, unlike somebody who is maybe hiring a website designer. When I'm hiring a website designer, I have like zero expectation that my insurance should be covering this. So Maggie is not not in the United States. But I know you have some understanding that we are in a hellscape when it comes to health insurance coverage. And so we have a lot of lactation, a lot of insurance companies just don't cover lactation, or they won't reimburse for it, even though the law says they should. And so there's like this weird scaling that happens, which is like we're scaled to zero.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of places. So then it's like psychologically, you're like, okay, this is either zero, it's either nothing, or I might as well just charge like whatever I want, because like how do you get how what are some thoughts you have about working inside that kind of area where the floor really is like below the basement?
Yeah. So I think it's a really good point, and it probably brings us back a little bit to what you started talking about in the messaging session with Michelle, because zero as the floor is not, nobody here can, everyone works for some reason. And usually that involves, satisfaction and being of service, but it also involves making money. So zero is not a realistic place. So if you think about it from a messaging and positioning point of view, is part of your promotion, part of your positioning that you have to be doing with your clients is educating them, unfortunately, about the fact that this is not being paid for by insurance, but it's still really important. And finding the, honestly, like, unfortunately, finding the people who have the income to figure this out. And maybe it's going to be, you're going to take 10 clients who can afford it and 2 that are on a sliding scale. You're going to find ways to be creative about how you serve people while ensuring you're getting paid. So I think you always want to think about, yes, zero might be the floor, but how can I, as a practitioner, how can I raise that floor so people truly understand the value and the contribution I'm making as a lactation consultant, versus just chronically undercharging because you feel bad or the system's kind of rigged against you.
That's a really good point. And I do think it's something that we come up against a lot, because parents are oftentimes the first question to us is like, is this covered by my insurance? And when we say, oh, sorry, I'm not in network with anybody because they won't let us be in network, or they, it's not worth our time to be in network because they don't pay lactation consultants, then it really becomes like we have to shift our language around it and like learn how to talk about it in a way that continues to help them like feel confident in the amount that they would have to pay us, and that there would be like a true value in that. So kind of branching off of that, when we're thinking about pricing, maybe you could give us a hierarchy of like, if I was just coming into this field, have never thought about pricing before, Like maybe what are the things, like how do we go through that process? What might give us a jump start on like, okay, this is what you need to be thinking about and looking at to know where to even start. If you enjoyed that snippet, the good news is that deeper dive was recorded. And by joining our membership community, you can have access to that deeper dive as well as our entire vault of deeper dives going back through 2020. You will also be automatically invited to our live monthly deeper dives, so you can ask the experts directly all the questions you want to know about that topic. We look forward to seeing you at our next deeper dive.